and that it's kind of a drag.
It's been kind of side-slappily addressed. It hasn't been answered. See, it doesn't matter. It's just like me saying, oh, God did it, God did it, God did it. If you bring up any scientific argument against a creationist and I say, God did it, God did it, God did it.
You basically do that.
No, I don't think so.
Well, ultimately. I mean, you don't...
Well, isn't that equivalent to saying, well, there was a local flood? Well, there's a local flood. There's a local flood.
No, not really.
Everywhere you go, there's a local flood.
Well, no, hold on. Well, one of these explanations relies purely upon natural phenomena, and the other one relies on supernatural.
Well,
one is within the realm of science, and one is not. Even if you don't believe...
Well, hold on. You're trying to redefine words here.
Not really.
If you would ask me, I would say, looking at the Bible, it's perfectly natural for God to intervene. It's perfectly natural for God to take part in His creation.
But we have no evidence that God exists.
You have no evidence that God exists?
I don't have any evidence that He doesn't exist or that He does exist.
Well, if I find a polystrate tree in, going through 5 or 6 different layers of sediment, what's your evidence that there was a flood?
A local flood?
A flood, any type of flood. Worldwide flood, local flood, any type of flood in that area.
If a local flood had happened, what I would expect is rapid sedimentary deposit.
Okay, well, if the Bible says that God created everything, then I would assume that God created everything.
What's your point?
What's your point? You're saying that if we find this right here, and I have no idea where Dr. Hovind ran off to, so that's where we're kind of going off on this.
Hold on 1 second. Yeah, your name is Jonathan, correct?
Yeah.
Were you the guy that was with Ken Hovind when you were debating against, I think it was a biology professor and a philosopher guy? It was 2-on-2?
No. That was Terry Pruitt and Nick Powers, and that was Mike Schultz, who was with Dr. Hovind.
Right. Have you ever showed up on any of Hovind's debates?
Have I?
Yeah.
No, unfortunately I haven't yet. That'd be really cool, though. I've actually been to a few of them, but not actually on stage.
What's your relationship to Ken Hovind?
Well, we're related through Noah somewhere back there. We both got blonde hair, and he's got blue eyes.
2 eyes in front of our heads.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. So.
Now there, I would say there probably is a common ancestor.
Yeah.
Now, between us and a pine cone, I don't think so.
I think the common ancestor idea proposed by the young Earth creationists is actually fascinating because it doesn't match modern genetics.
It doesn't.
Look at population dynamics, it doesn't match. I mean, to say that we all came from Noah, and if you read the Noah account...
well, Noah, his family, basically 8 people.
Yes, but the only... every Y chromosome in the world, for instance, should be Noah's, because Y chromosomes are passed only to the father.
Mm-hmm.
And Noah was he was the highest male genetically on the boat, and he had sons and their wives, but they were all females that didn't come from his line.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Creation Science Hour and a Half. This is Kent Hovind and Jonathan Sampson. For those tuning in just now, we started a half hour ago, and you're welcome to join us at drdino.com. And we have, I believe, Jared still on the phone.
Yeah,
correct?
Yes. I have a question.
You're telling me you have an answer for the polystrate fossils, the trees petrified standing up, connecting all these layers.
Right.
And I want to hear that answer.
Okay, so the brief answer is that quick sedimentary deposit caused the tree to get fossilized sort of the first pass of fossilization. And then over time, other geological effects happen and more layers build up, replacing the top parts of the sediment. And so the inner part, the tree, gets fossilized and refossilized into different types of material the further up you go vertically.
Sounds like a stretch.
I think the entire global flood story is an enormous stretch. I mean, there are things in science that are always going to end up looking like stretches.
Okay.
But
okay,
you have to kind of pay attention to the overall picture.
Let's see if we can agree on a couple things here then. Would you agree that there are sedimentary layers, for instance, there are limestone layers that cover most of the United States, one continuous layer?
I'm aware there's a lot of limestone, yeah.
I mean, it's all in one continuous layer. Would you agree that would take an awfully large flood to cover most of the United States?
If it was caused by a flood, yeah.
Or at least it's underwater for a long time, okay?
That's probably the more likely solution.
Okay.
There were times in the past when certain parts of the land in the world were submerged underwater.
Sure. Would you agree that there's enough water on the surface of the planet right now, averaging 12,000 feet deep in the ocean, that if the Earth did not have the mountains, if it were smoothed out some, the water would be about 8,000 feet deep everywhere?
I haven't looked at the numbers themselves, but it seems plausible, and I've heard you argue about this on your program series before.
Well, I can assure you that is what most people would agree on. There's enough water to cover the Earth 8,000 feet deep.
It's possible.
Would you agree that there are hundreds, possibly even 300, flood legends in various cultures around the world that as the new cultures discovered by people going in, they say, wow, these people have a flood legend?
Yeah, actually, Kent, I actually researched that. I was very curious about that at some point in my intellectual past.
And am I right that there are a lot of flood legends?
There are a lot of flood legends, and the thing is that they seem to be kind of grouped into classes of similarity. Like, some of them are very similar to some others, and they're very different from others. If you look at the Fertile Crescent, the flood myths in that area are almost identical. The flood legend in Islam and in Christianity and in the Babylonians and a few other local peoples had almost identical flood myths. They just changed the name, like Noah became something else, and like the type of bird that flew out of the ark became a different type of bird, and back and forth. And it's not even clear who had it first. I think the Israelites did not have it first, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's interesting you call it flood myth, which shows your prejudice.
Now, hold on. No, let me justify that, Kent. I took several religion classes at Texas Christian University. Are you familiar with that school?
There's the problem right there. We have identified the problem. But go ahead, yes, huh?
Oh, do you know about TCU?
A little bit, huh?
Yeah, I heard that you went there at some point, or that you were going to. I don't know if that's true.
I'm willing to go debate every professor at the same time with half my brain tied behind my back.
Yeah, actually, I was thinking of inviting you over here to Dartmouth College.
Sure.
That's where I'm a grad student in the math program. I thought about,
You tell every professor there it can be 20 against 1 on 2 simple conditions. I get half the time.
Right.
And we discuss one topic at a time.
Right. That's awesome. And I will check out this possibility with the biology department.
Sure.
Anyway, what were we talking about just a minute ago?
Flood legends.
Flood legends.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of them.
There's a lot of flood legends, and some of them are very, very similar because they are they're geographically connected. And as Michael Shermer pointed out to you before, peoples that lived on places where it didn't flood don't have these flood myths. And it's part of the culture because it's part of the geology of the area that they live.
Well, you're mistaken. Many of these flood legends come from tribes way up in the mountains, where many have never even seen the ocean, but they still talk about a worldwide flood.
But people migrate. There's going to be a slight blurring of this because
there you
people
go.
migrate.
See,
Again, you can answer it any way you like. If they have one and they're not by water, then they migrated.
This is an issue of anthropology. This really has nothing to do
But see, you're appealing to a smorgasbord of answers. You can say whatever you want.